What are your specials?
What are you after?
Oh.
We got burgers, cheeseburgers, fries, fried onions, pickled eggs, pasties, pies, and odds.
Odds?
Yeah, we got first to score, half-time score, final score, score draw, 5-4, and a cracking app.
Sorted. Got any tips?
Yeah, go easy on the air, Jill.
Download the Coral app and check out our in-play specials.
But please bet responsibly.
Hello, welcome to our penultimate day of break-off. Hard to believe we've been here in the Barbican for 12 non-stop days of action, but there's always a real tingle around the place here in York when we get down to the one-table setup semi-final Saturday. With me to discuss the action, Ivan Hershevitz from the World Snooker Press Office. Hirsch, that first semi-final was unbelievable. Great comeback by Ronnie, coming from 4-1 down. But there has to be a measure of sympathy for Stuart Bingham. He was so close to what would have been his first major final in the Big Three. Hasn't reached the final of the Masters, the UK or the Worlds, and that was a golden opportunity today that went begging. Yeah,
it was such an exciting match, and how many of those have we had? It's been a great tournament. And Stuart, he was 4-1 up, and then he admitted himself afterwards he tightened up a bit at the thought of getting to that UK final until it went to 4-all. But then the way Ronnie finished it off, and I think the thing that impressed me most about Ronnie in the final frame, he was 30-odd points ahead, but the reds were there, kind of there in the middle of the table, and he went for a red, which is just a complete do or die. If he'd missed it, he would have let Bingham in, but he knocked it in, went on to make 90 and win the tournament, win the semi-final in style.
Do you think that shows a maturity to his game? Do you think in a similar circumstance, trailing by a similar margin maybe 5 or 6 years ago, he may not have had quite the same level of mental composure to stay calm and come back?
Yeah, he showed a lot of patience, particularly from 4-1 down when things weren't going his way. Yeah, that is something that he's added to his game in recent years, but he's always had that instinct of going for the jugular when it matters most. And, you know, how many times have we seen him in a deciding frame make a big break to win it? You know, I don't think there's ever been a player who finishes off matches in that way.
And another word about Stuart, he is a world-class player, won the Shanghai earlier this season, which was a really, really classy victory, and he won it in some fine style. He will take some positives from this tournament, don't you think? Yeah,
well, he's won 5 matches, and usually that's good enough under the old system. That'd be good enough to win you the tournament. You know, so just to get to the semi-finals is a great achievement. And he is a prolific winner now. He's winning titles every season. He's won 2 ranking events. He's won the Premier League. He wins a lot of Asian Tour events, and he's getting closer in the big ones. That's 2 UK semi-finals in a row now, and sooner or later, I'm sure he will get to a big final.
Let's hope so. He is one of the nicest guys on the circuit. Well, we spoke to Ronnie after the match, and he was reminiscing about how different life was when he made the final and won his first UK crown all the way back in 1993. Can you still remember what it felt like when you were in the final in 93, all those years ago?
Yeah, it was kind of a bit different then, because obviously no one knew I was, and when you're at tournaments you are kind of stuff wrapped in cotton wool. It's a bit like being in Big Brother, really. You don't really know what's going on in the outside world because you're in your hotel, you're at the venue, and you know, I entered the tournament as an unknown and come out of the tournament having people sort of like going, oh, you know, seeing you on the telly, well done, and people recognising you. So my life sort of changed from that moment onwards. So you know, that was a kind of a weird sort of moment for me, you know, because like I say, like, I've gone from no one knowing you to kind of like everyone wanting to sort of congratulate you and that. So, but now I'm a bit older now and been around a bit, so you know, you just take it a bit more in your stride, I suppose. You know, you just kind of enjoy these moments and try and make the most of them.
So a victory for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He is into his 5th UK final, and of course we now know he'll be facing Judd Trump. Judd coming through that match against Stephen Maguire, the 2011 champion, and it gives him an opportunity to exact some revenge after Ronnie beat him last month to the Champion of Champions titles. But presumably it's matches like tomorrow and it's occasions like that you first picked up a cue for all those years ago.
Yeah, obviously when I picked up the cue, Ronnie was sort of my idol, and now to play him 2 finals in a row just shows how far I've come. We've kind of just dominated the last 2 big tournaments, so for me, if I keep on proving, eventually he'll retire and then hopefully I can take over.
Well, we say every year that the UK Championship final tends to be a cracker, and we've had some brilliant examples of that over the years, Ivan. It's been such a long, arduous 13 days, and we're building to what could be a really, really great way to end 2014.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking final, and you know, actually, if you look down the list of UK Championship winners over the years, it's all the great names. You very rarely get a surprise winner of this tournament, and once again, we've got two of the very best in the world in the final. Ronnie, obviously the favourite, but I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a sizzling atmosphere. There won't be an empty seat in this room tomorrow evening, and I think we're all just really looking forward to it.
Well, we certainly are looking forward to it, and if you follow snooker over the years, you'll be aware that we get a few famous friends turning up, a few people who really, really like the sport from some unusual corners and genres. I wonder who's going to be turning up here at the Barbican tomorrow. Maybe one of a selection of these famous faces and famous friends of the sport. Carl Froch is a man whose presence packs a punch, and the Cobra has been known to enjoy the odd game of snooker. The IBF and WBA super middleweight champion of the world is good mates with fellow Nottingham sportsman Michael Holt, and the hitman was at Wembley to see Froch beat George Groves in front of a record crowd earlier this year. Let's see if we could get him up to the Crucible next April. Louie Tomlinson was only headed in one direction earlier this year, up the M1 to Sheffield to watch Ronnie O'Sullivan in action at the Crucible. The keen footballer and Doncaster Rovers fan certainly seemed in tune with the sport. Courtesy of Dutch referee Jan Verhaas, football fans may have spotted Villa and Holland defender Ron Vlaar this year. Just a few months before heading to Brazil for the World Cup, Vlaar and a couple of mates came to the Masters. Watch out for him again at Ali Pali in 2015. Phil the Power Taylor knows how to cope with pressure on the big occasions. The multiple PDC world champion has often been seen at snooker's major finals, soaking up the atmosphere. Barry Hearn even manages to persuade him to pay for his tickets, with the proceeds going to Bluebell Wood Hospice. He's also no stranger to the darts equivalent of the 147. The 9-dart finish has been a regular part of his repertoire for more than a decade.
Taylor hits yet another 9-darter at the World Match Play.
Perhaps one of the most dedicated of snooker's famous friends is actor, author and comedian Stephen Fry. He seems to love the Crucible, and he's done interviews with BBC's Hazel Irvine discussing the game and, among other things, Ronnie O'Sullivan's contribution to the sport.
There is a change of personnel in our studio as we welcome Stephen Fry, one of snooker's greatest fans.
It was just all rock and roll in Sheffield this year as Iron Maiden drummer Nico McBrain came to watch for the first time. He was discovered as a snooker fan after a chance encounter with Ken Doherty in a North London fish and chip shop during the Masters. A very cool customer, he even played the drums at the official Champions Ball for Mark Selby after the Leicester Cuman sealed his first world crown. Bravo and encore please, Nico. See you in 2015. Well, Nico McBrain was absolutely brilliant value playing the drums in honour of Mark Selby's first world title. Maybe we will get him back to the Crucible next April. That just about wraps things up for this edition of Break Off. One final piece of news. We've been having our Twitter vote and you have decided Player of the Month so far is Ronnie O'Sullivan. Maybe inevitable after that incredible 147 on Thursday night. Is it an omen for tomorrow? Perhaps. You'll have to join us to find out who is going to be crowned 2014 Coral UK Champion. Good night. See you tomorrow.